webinars and this is on planning for connected and automated public transport and how to engage with citizens. This is following really the citizen engagement process that this project SINFONICA has done over the past 3 years. I'm Andrew Winder from ERTICO, ITS Europe, the association in Brussels. I'll introduce briefly the people who will speak and the people who have really been behind a lot of this work, or some of them. Silvia Gaggi from Isinova in Italy will be the first speaker. Then we have two public authorities. There are 4 public authorities in total in the project, and 2 of them are the city of Hamburg, represented by Stephanie Kessler, and then the city of Trikala in Greece, represented by Christina Caraberi. Then representing the coordinator, Unimore, University of Modena Reggio Emilia, is Giacomo Cantini. And then finally, ICCS Institute in Athens is Kostas Fokias, who will introduce the Knowledge Map Explorer of SINFONICA. And then I will just wrap up and also say a few words about the final event that we will be having in Brussels this coming Thursday. So I'll just give I'm assuming most of you know about the SINFONICA project. I give just 2 slides, maybe introduction, and then for those who don't really know the project, we have the website, of course, and you can find out everything there. This project has been going on since 2022, so we're on our final month now, our final week even. We have 14 partners, well, 13 and an associate partner, covering 7 European countries, and the whole idea of it was to look into not just the technology, but the user needs for CCAM connected and cooperative and automated transport. And this is focusing on public and shared transport. So it's not so much for private cars where users can decide or not whether to use them, but in the future, public transport with more automation, people are probably going to have a choice of probably not going to have a choice of what kind of transport they use. If there's one bus service running to where they live and that becomes automated, we have to take into account all the different user needs and make sure that it is inclusive and that it's not just the tech guys trying to save money and leave aside user needs. This is why we have not just researchers in this project, but also 4 major public authorities in Europe from different countries, but different also scales and regions, from a medium city like Trikala to big city like Hamburg, metropolitan region in England, West Midlands, and a mixed urban and rural province in the Netherlands, North Brabant. And we've gone through, so with these 4 countries, we've gone through these establishment of groups of interest. So basically people, groups of different users and non-users in these countries. So we've had a lot of stakeholder consultation, and this is what this discussion today will focus on. That has then led to analysis and the development of a toolkit, which will be briefly presented at the end. So this is what we're covering today. It's really the strategy to capture the needs of the users, the engagement strategies, and understanding the expectations, concerns, and desires. So these were really the project tasks that have led into what will be presented today. Then and the Knowledge Map Explorer, which is the main outcome of this. We did have a webinar about a month ago, just over a month ago, on 15th of July, and this will be made available online next month. And this was all about the strategies and recommendations, focusing on policy recommendations and communication recommendations. And then in about 2 weeks from now, we will now just set for the 9th of September now, there will be a final one on guidance for implementation, operations, and recommendations for demonstration projects. So this is the agenda again. I will finish now and I will hand over to Silvia Gaggi from Isinova, who will outline the approach that the project has made to citizen engagement. And then we go on from there. So any questions, please put them in the chat, and either me or my colleague Céline Lefort from Ertico will check them, and we can read them out, or we can maybe give you the floor and you can also read them out if you want. I will close my screen, and Sylvia from Isinova, please take it away if you're able to share your screen. Oh, good.
Thank you, Andrew. Can you see my screen?
Great, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, because I can't see you, so okay, thank you very much for the introduction. I will give you a brief overview of the citizens' engagement approach, and more in general, the participatory strategy that we co-created in SINFONICA. The citizens and stakeholders engagement is indeed at the core of the SINFONICA project. What we needed and we wanted to do in the project was actually to understand the expectations, the needs and concerns, and the fears maybe of the people, different categories in society, towards the mobility of the future, the cooperative and connected automated mobility solutions. Engaging with different people in society and different stakeholders would allow them to design and to deploy CCAM that are more inclusive and accessible, so that can be used by not leaving by leaving no one behind. They would be tailored for all, so capturing the special needs and requirements of people, especially people with special mobility needs or mobility challenges. And we know that if we involve the end users in the design of products or services, they will be more likely accepted in the future. So engaging with the citizens would allow to build trust through co-creation with them, the CCAM that we want in our lives in the future. So basically, SINFONICA followed the quadruple helix. For researchers, this is quite a well-known way to handle research. So including not only university academia, but also public institutions, industry, and especially civil society in the research process. What we mean is to involve in the definition of the research questions and the research the non-experts, so people that will be the users of the research itself. So what we did was to involve citizens, different groups, and different stakeholders that were expressing their views and opinions, and therefore contributed to our final outcomes. The SINFONICA participatory framework was co-created with the so-called groups of interest that were introduced by Andrew in the introduction. We worked together with Trikal in Greece, Hamburg in Germany, North Brabant in the Netherlands, and West Midland in the UK, co-creating the methodologies to basically collect data about people's opinion towards CCAM. The people in general that I referred to was divided in different categories that you see on the screen on the right, that are very diverse. So the main focus was with people with mobility challenges, and even mobility challenges could be interpreted in many respects. So we talked with older adults, digitally vulnerable people, young people, people with cognitive disabilities, and also other categories like low income or rural residents, etc. But we also talked to the general public, and also in this case, we divided the general public in categories according to age, income levels, and access, easy or less easy access to public transport. And we also talked to different stakeholders in the CCAM, let's say in the CCAM ecosystem, so the service providers, the industry, governments, so the facilitators, and but also non-profit organization and different types of advocacy groups. The participatory framework involved different methods. The three that you see on the screen were the main ones that we developed. So we proceeded with individual interviews with vulnerable groups, focus groups with citizens, and different workshops with citizens and the stakeholders to put together the demand side for CCAM, but also the supply side and different type of stakeholders of the CCAM chain. More in particular, I will go one by one to tell you about how we structured the methodologies and for what purposes. So the first in the list were the interviews, semi-structured interviews for people with different groups of people with mobility special needs or challenges. The interviews were, we developed a questionnaire that was tackling collecting the people preferences and perspectives in terms of transport habit, transport barriers, their use of digital technologies to move around for mobility, and the attitudes towards CCAM, so the automated vehicles. There were one-to-one interviews that were mainly made face-to-face in order to really establish a dialogue with interviewees, and semi-structured, meaning to give them to give room for dialogue and really to go deep into the opinions and views of the people that were interviewed. You see three collection cycles, what we called, meaning that we the overall participatory framework was developed according to three different phases, and at the end of each phase we collected the feedback in order to fine-tune and adjust if needed the overall methodology, so to make it better and better progressively across the different cycles. Here there is an overview of the four interest groups and the categories of people that they focus on. You see the first 5 groups are common to all the 4 interest groups, and they also interviewed people representing other groups of categories of with mobility needs, according to what they needed to focus more in the local context. The recruitment, so the engagement always starts with the recruitment process. Recruitment was done in different ways in the 4 local contexts, but let's see that these bullet points represent the most common ways to find the people to be interviewed. So it was mainly through the, contact with different associations of different categories of users, community centers, or in the occasion of public events or like online market research communities available in their databases. To meet special needs of digitally vulnerable people, especially. Sometimes interviews were made at home, and in general, it was proved to be useful to offer incentives to make the participation of the people more appealing. Next to interviews, the interest in the different local context, they organized several focus groups. This was done with lay citizens It was mainly reflecting the topics of the interviews, but adding to the individual perspective the group dynamic. So to discuss about the topics all together and exchanging views and ideas and maybe coming to co-creation of innovative solutions altogether. The focus groups are typically small groups, so that discussion can be quite lively and interesting, of about 6 to 10 participants per group. The 3 rounds that I referred before, in each of the rounds, different categories of citizens were invited to participate. So as I mentioned before, the first round focused on age, so different age categories. The second round focused on the income, so 3 different range of income levels, and the third round on easy or less easy access to public transport. This was made to see the different perspective according to these categories of citizens. Also for the focus groups, the engaging, the recruitment process was different, was varied and different according to the local context, and went from social media challenge to direct contacts through colleagues, families, or friends. And also in this case, incentives proved to be a good trick to make people participating to our research. The third methodology was the organization of workshops. In this case, it was not clearly not only citizens, but different type of stakeholders were invited also to discuss with citizens about the future of CCAM, more or less about 30 participants per workshop were foreseen. The workshop had a story to tell, let's say. It was a series of 3, starting from the critical analysis of the mobility of the present, so discussing how people move today and what are the barriers, especially for people with mobility challenges. And the second topic would then see how the CCAM could potentially be a solution to the mobility challenges. And the third topic would be altogether from the supply side and the demand side to find, to discuss about the equitable design of the future CCAM, so to be more inclusive and accessible for everyone. And you see this on the right, the different stakeholders groups that were invited to the workshop. So again, going from the producers, operators, the industry, but of course the local governments and representatives from non-profit organizations. For the recruitment, in this case, for the stakeholders, of course, the local authorities went through their own contacts and existing networks, and also proved to be useful to organize the events in a joint efforts with other initiatives, so to increase the impact and the visibility of what Sinfonica was discussing about. Sorry. So this is the overview of all the, let's say, qualitative methods to collect the data, so about mobility habits and expectations towards CCAMs. You see that the numbers are quite impressive because in each local context, the interest groups made at least 70 interviews each, individually organized at least 9 workshops, so 9 with all the participants from 6 to 10. And for workshop, they organized 3 of the series with about 30 participants each. So adding all the numbers, it comes out that more or less 1,000 people were involved in the Sinfonica data collection strategy through the participatory methodologies that I just presented. In addition to this, so a more quantitative way to collect data, Sinfonica also organized a Europe-wide online survey, again to identify needs, preferences, and concerns of a broad demographic. The interest groups collected at least 500 completed surveys each, and the surveys were extended to the rest of Europe with a total of more than 4,472 participants that completed the survey online. So let's say that Sinfonica was really able to collect a wealth of information about perspective of CCAM. Of course, the process was challenging. Not everything went smoothly from the start. That's why the three feedback loops and the three different data collection cycles were very useful to adjust in the process. It proved to be difficult to recruit, especially specific groups like the digitally vulnerable or older people. Also, the questionnaires had to be adjusted. Sometimes it was felt that they were quite long, and so it was better to get to the point and narrow the questionnaire down a little bit. And of course, it was also a time issue. I mean, a lot of information, and the project had a limited time to proceed all this. It was a challenging job, but very rewarding at the end. Solutions were found from the different interest groups in different ways. As I mentioned before, like offering incentives proved to be useful, or organizing joint event with other initiative. So every local context adapted the strategy according to their characteristics. But in general, what you can now find in the final deliverable, which are the main two deliverables on the engagement guide for CCAM solution from Relab, and the participatory methods to identify mobility needs and future expectations from Inisinova. These are the two deliverables that presented the overall work that I tried to summarize in 10 minutes or so, and are the results of all the adjustments made along the way. So what we hope can really be replicated in different contexts. So this is from my side a bit of an overview. I don't know, Andrew, if in the agenda we can have questions, or if you want to handle them at the end. I don't know how to handle this.
We can do it now. Thank you, Sylvia, very much. We're exactly on time. I see there's one question from Lise Böckler, asking, has a procedure been discussed to implement users' requirements for transport services, vehicles or apps in a legally binding manner at national or EU level? Okay, so it's not quite this presentation. This was a topic that was discussed a bit in the previous webinar on the 15th of July by Sylvia's colleague, Ricardo, who talked about policy and looking at some legal frameworks. So we did do some exercise on that, and we looked at legal frameworks in 5 European countries. This is part of a deliverable of the project 5.4, which is submitted, but I think we're awaiting approval. So let's say this question will be addressed in this deliverable and in our final event. What I could say briefly is, we haven't made specific procedure for changing laws at EU level. Most of this is at national level. There are national accessibility and disability discrimination laws and things like this, which presumably will apply to connected vehicles or automated vehicles the same way as ordinary classic public transport. What we have done is made additional recommendations on things like ability to book or pay without a smartphone, things like this, because a lot of the existing legislation and a lot of the existing projects have, when they're looking at accessibility and equality, they're looking at things like disabled people, older people, and then often not so much considering things like young people, maybe children old enough to travel on their own, maybe people on low incomes. If you make a superb system, but it's expensive for people to use, then it's not attractive or inclusive. And often they're not including maybe things like rural or isolation. So we did make some recommendations in those areas, maybe some of the groups that we didn't, that are not so much considered in previous projects that we've looked at. So yeah, the approach that Sylvia described, this could be used really on a lot of different things, not just for CCAM. It can be other technology or proposals that public authorities or operators are making, can use a similar approach to citizen engagement. Let's go to the next presentation. Thank you very much, Sylvia. We have now two of the 4 public authorities in the project, which will talk a little bit about their specific engagement experience, what they learned, what was good, what maybe could be improved in a future engagement activity, and what the outcomes were, what the value is for a public authority. So the first of these is the City of Hamburg, represented by Stephanie Kessler. So I give the floor to you, Stephanie. Hello.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, welcome from my side. I'll talk about a little bit of the practical side of what Sylvia has just described, the engagement framework and theory, and in the 4 demo sites and the groups of interest, the 4 cities or areas where we have implemented this framework. Hamburg is one of them, representing a big city. So I'll take you through a bit of experience that we managed to collect. Okay, hold on. Right, so this is what I'll talk to you about in the next couple of minutes. I'll introduce you to the City of Hamburg and talk a bit about the citizen engagement experience, which is the side of the process that we went through. And then I'll also talk a bit about the outcomes, which is then the actual answers that we collected, the content outcome. And I'll finish off with some challenges and lessons learned. Okay, so the free and Hanseatic city of Hamburg is the 2nd largest city Germany. We have almost 2 million inhabitants. We're a major port city, a major logistics hub, and of course we have a multimodal transport network with different modes of transport interconnecting. We had an ITS strategy put in place in 2016. A lot of what was said in there has been implemented already. Hamburg was host city to the ITS World Congress in October 21. And just recently, some of you might have been here, we hosted the UITP Public Transport Summit in June this year. It's quite a major event. And we are model region for mobility. We are receiving a lot of national funding for mobility projects. In terms of CCAM, we have several projects that are being implemented at the moment, some that have been finished, some which are going to come in the near future. One of the major developments is that we are building a new subway line, the U5, which is going to be fully automated. And what's special is that the UITP Congress will come back to Hamburg again in 2 years, 27. So maybe some of you will be coming there and you can have a look at what we're doing here. Okay, some of the CCAM projects and activities going on is that we have a test track for automated and connected driving, which you can see here, which has been implemented mainly on the occasion of the ITS Congress in 21. So this is being digitalized road network that we use for a number of projects. This is just some examples that I show you here. Which is being used for evaluation and technical feasibility. The MODI project is, for instance, to do with heavy goods vehicles, which, of course, for a logistics hub like Hamburg is very important. And then we have 2 projects going on in public transport. We have 2 major public transport operators in Hamburg. One is VHH Mobility and the other one is Hochbahn. They both have their projects together with a group of partners where they are testing the integration of automated mobility. The first one is Ahoy. They integrate autonomous shuttles into their on-demand fleet, which is manually driven in an area south of Hamburg. And the Alight project, they're operating in the city, mainly the city center, is a cooperation with Moja on-demand fleet, ride-sharing, sorry. And they're more looking at the overall system of booking autonomous shuttles, but also integrated into public transport. Okay, so carry on with the citizen engagement experience. I've put this into a bit of a SWOT analysis. So we have had very diverse experience with this. Probably the strength of the drivers were that mobility is a hot topic in Hamburg anyway. So that gave us a lot of opportunities for discussing new mobility services. So people are quite aware of that. As I mentioned before, Hamburg is a model city for mobility. And we had these 2 major events taking place in Hamburg, which obviously created also a lot of visibility. But also we encountered some weaknesses and some barriers to citizen engagement. Mainly our feeling was, or that was the feedback that we got, was that people were oversaturated with mobility topics. We did not have any existing panel. What Sylvia mentioned earlier, like the market research groups or so, we didn't have any of that in place. And in the project lifetime, it wouldn't have been possible to set up these panels or these groups. So that was not a driver. Then, although I said that mobility is a hot topic, CCAM is quite abstract, and autonomous driving has little relevance for people in their everyday lives. So that was a bit difficult to relate to that. So people were ready to talk about cycling and about public transport as it is, maybe some small further development, but autonomous driving for many people is still too far in the future. And the last thing which was difficult or was represented a weakness was that we had few channels available and very low coverage, which was due to the fact that the public authority, which I represent in this project, and the other partners that we had an internal structure which was not really supporting to get in touch with other stakeholders. The engagement of the citizens and certain groups of citizens created opportunities, of course, mainly the promotion of public transport generally. And I think that we made use of quite a bit. So that was a good side effect, I would say. The threats to the engagement were, as I mentioned, the difficulties due to the reasons that I put out, and also the budget. We had one focus group that we carried out together with the Transport Association in Hamburg, HVV, and they put in their budget, and they have a lot of very professional experience how to carry out focus groups and to make them really attractive to people. And what's more is they had already an existing panel, an existing mailing list that they could address. And that was quite a difference to the other focus groups that we carried out before. So this is also a learning that you need enough budget to carry this out, to be professional about it. Another threat was that many associations for vulnerable road users have limited resources, and they were really reluctant to take part in these activities. And we have diverging interest between automobile industry and user groups. So the industry is more interested in putting the service on the road, and of course making it inclusive is an extra step for them, an extra task. So sometimes that's a bit difficult to get them engaged. Okay, to the outcomes of the engagement. Again, I put this as a SWOT analysis. We have the strength of CCAM and public transport. So now we're looking at the process of how to engage people, but what feedback did they give us? CCAM provides a unique opportunity to enlarge the coverage, to include rural areas, which we do have in a city like Hamburg on the outskirts. So people there have a really high expectation on CCAM services. And it's also a potential, it entails a potential for solutions to issues like level of service or skills shortage. It may cut down the costs and so on. The weaknesses are that at the same time, the level of service may go down for some aspects. So if you don't have any personnel on board, this was perceived by the citizen as a reduction in the level of service. We also figured out from what we got back from our participants that there is no thing as a universal service, because what's good for one group, one user group, may be not good for another one. So it's again a conflict of interest may occur. Then a new technology always needs an adaptation process, so it takes time to get used to it, to get people engaged. And then we have the business case versus the social case, as I said before. That may not be overlaying altogether. The opportunities are obviously that you can overcome the skills shortage. Inclusion in general is always a good thing to have, of course. Then there is a question of cost saving. People question that because they said, well, it's really expensive. And what Andrew said earlier, that if you create a really nice service, it may be too expensive for some user groups. But if it's cost saving, of course, it's positive for everyone. And public administration can influence the rollout of autonomous mobility as a service. And I mentioned here again the projects Ahoy and the like. And the threats are that certain groups of vulnerable road users may be excluded. There are contradicting needs, and we need to be addressing specific target groups, and we may not reach them, so people may be excluded or maybe felt left behind. Okay, and to finish off, some challenges and lessons learned. So I said that earlier, what Hamburg lacked was an existing panel, central points of contact regarding social media to reach the focus groups. We had very low coverage, unfortunately, and we did not have means and legal framework to create incentives. Our lesson learned was that participation works well with topics which are relevant to people and for which the potential impact is perceived as controllable. So if you ask people to participate, they don't want to participate in something that they cannot influence at all, or where they have the feeling, okay, what I say here is useless because it's going to happen anyway. So you have to provide them with a feeling of self-effectiveness, if that's the word. Yeah, participation needs time and money. I said that before. We need a good budget for making it professional, making it attractive, so that people have a low threshold to join these events. Incentives are important, and yeah, keep the barriers low for everyone. So make it inclusive and accessible for everyone. So that really feel welcome in these events, and that they are happy to provide their point of view and not feel exploited in some way. Okay, that was all from my side. Don't know if there have been any questions.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you. I didn't see any questions, but very good, very clear. Yeah, I think one challenge is also, it depends if you have a clear proposal for CCAM or for something to be developed, you can show it to people and you can get responses. And an issue I think we faced in this project is that it can take these are more abstract concepts for a lot of people who have maybe not seen or been in an automated vehicle, and it's then a little bit difficult to explain to them what it would be like. And some people might have preconceived ideas or opinions about an automated vehicle before they've even seen one. So that's maybe something we have to deal with. Something else you mentioned was a new automated U-Bahn line. So just to say for the people who are external to this, the SINFONICA project is really concentrating on CCAM for road. That's the terms of reference of the project. So it's automated vehicles on roads. But of course, many cities more and more are having metro lines, underground, subway, U-Bahn that are automated or other rail-based systems. So we could say, while we didn't really look at rail-based systems in the project, the outcomes and results, I think, are equally relevant for developing anything that is on rails as well as road. So thanks again, Stephanie. I think we can move on from Germany to Greece now. So Christina Calaveri, I think you're still with us, and she is from the city of Trikala in the middle of Greece, and that was one of our other demonstration or groups of interest sites. So Christina, if you're there, please go ahead.
I'm here. Can you see my screen?
We see your screen, yes. Yeah.
Yes. Can you see in full? You can see correctly the PowerPoint presentation?
It's not full screen yet.
I have it full screen. I don't know why.
Okay.
Let me go try it again. Now?
No, not yet. No. I
okay,
see all the ones on the side.
I correct this. I don't know why it's like that. I will stop sharing and come back again.
Okay.
And just one thing, because I was already twice, left due to Wi-Fi issues. If I leave suddenly, apologies. I will try to make sure that I finish my presentation. I don't know, because the Wi-Fi today is very bad. Okay, can you see it now? Can you see it in full mode?
We see it's coming. We don't see the full screen bit, but it's okay. We can read it. We can go ahead like this. Yeah.
Okay, then I will make it larger for you.
Yeah, make it larger. Then we see it.
Okay, is it better now?
It's okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah. This
I
is
will
good.
start. So hi, my name is Christina Calaveri. I represent the Greek city of Trikala. Our city, yeah, but I cannot move. Yeah. Okay. Few things you need to know about our city. Our city is located in central Greece, in Thessaly. We are a medium-sized city with 80,000 inhabitants. Three things you need to know about our city. We are an open and smart city. We have been acknowledged as one ever since 2010. There is a dedicated smart department in our municipality and the control room that everything is monitored. And through its developmental company, Trikala, the city has gained a long experience in IT innovations by participating in many new projects. Secondly, we're a sustainable city. We have joined the 100 climate neutral and smart cities mission and are working toward this. And thirdly, we're an ambitious city with the help of our municipal strategic plan. We are reforming and digitalizing the entire public sector until 2025. In relation to mobility, our major issue is that our rural sites are underserved by public transport, meaning that our citizens need to take their car on a daily basis, which, as you can understand, has negative impact on the environment and causes severe traffic congestion at the city center. This is why the last few years we have made a lot of effort to provide to our citizens alternative and sustainable mobility solutions. And we have done so with the help of a number of sustainable mobility projects that we have been implementing in the last 10 years. The main issue about all these projects is that we are using participatory approaches and we have engaged all stakeholders at an early stage. And the added value of this is that we have already an existing very active mobility community that supports us with all the local stakeholders, and that was the case as well for SINFONICA. So we had a number of group of interest, vulnerable groups that we conducted participatory activities with them in SINFONICA, women, young people, university students, bikers and cyclists, elderly people, people with low income, people from rural areas, citizens with mobility issues or digital vulnerable people. And in order to fund all those people, we invested on this existing mobility community. We conducted 70 interviews, 9 focus groups, 3 workshops with higher stakeholders from all levels of governance, and an online survey that we gathered 500 responses, not just from Trikala, but nationwide. Some key findings from our effort to engage all these people in Trikala can be summarized here. So we noticed high awareness and limited adoption, meaning that half of our citizens were aware of all these initiatives that are going on in our city. However, very few of them are using the CCAM services, meaning that there's a disconnection between knowledge and behavioral change. Another thing is interest versus skepticism. There were many participants that expressed excitement about the possibilities of automation, but however, there were many concerns in relation to safety, reliability, and the unknown consequences of automation services. There was a diverse prioritization of CCAM values, so although all our participants and all categories highlighted the importance of accessibility, affordability, availability, and acceptability, however, there was no agreement among them about the priority of the order of importance of these characteristics. There was a need identified for inclusive and tailored services, especially for vulnerable groups such as the elderly. They wanted their CCAM services to be designed in a way that they meet their needs and have specific adaptations. Trust was also a critical enabler. Participants emphasized the need for clear safety protocols and for a transparent legal framework when it comes to automated mobility. And lastly, there was many systematic and structural challenges identified, meaning that all our participants recognized that there should be some system-level changes in order for the CCAM services to flourish in the city in the future. Sorry, we can go back. So, I gathered some success stories or best practices, you call them any way you like, that I think I could share with you today, and it's about what we gained from these participatory activities in SINFONICA and what were our best practices. For instance, we adopted a methodology that we had synergies with other existing mobility projects in order to expand the SINFONICA's visibility and reach. We had alignments with ongoing projects such as CCAM, Smart Tattoo Elaborator, and so, meaning that we had joint events with all these projects. For instance, during our second workshop, we had a joint event with the CCAM project, and in this way, we provided to our participants a view of how a local mobility app can be integrated and become better. Or in our third workshop, we had a joint event with the SOU project, that was a project about automated shuttles tested in our city. And in this way, we attracted high-level stakeholders like ministry, universities, and IT firms. And overall, what we did with these synergies is to show to our citizens that CCAM is a part of the city's long-term vision and not just another project from SINFONICA. Another success story was that we empower local stakeholders to act and take responsibility for improving mobility systems. Now, there were a lot of negative comments in our interviews and focus groups for some specific services like the bus company or about their smart application for parking at the city. And we provided this input, although negative, to those stakeholders. And what we gained from this is that they actually embraced those comments, they embraced this criticism, and they want to use this data to restructure their schedule, especially for rural areas. This concerns the bus company, or redesign the existing digital services in order to make them more accessible and easy to use. Another thing is that we, through these participatory activities in SINFONICA, we activated our initial mobility community, and we enriched this mobility community with more group of users like cyclists, youth council, and NGOs. And right now, this mobility community has become a very active ecosystem that is able to co-design and influence the local transport policy. Lastly, we encourage inclusion and cross-sector dialogue. Through SINFONICA, we were able to reach some groups that are not very easy to be engaged in this kind of mobility projects, such as the elderly, people with mobility issues, or people that are digitally vulnerable. And what is more, we promoted productive cross-sectoral dialogue. We provided to these users the opportunity to meet directly with tech developers and co-create solutions. In other words, we elevated the inclusivity, promoted practical solutions, and have a stronger user-developer collaboration. I also had I tried to gather some lessons that we learned from the challenges that we faced while implementing SINFONICA, and provide you with some key insights. So first of all, the importance of a human-centric facilitation. The facilitator, the moderator, the people that conducted the interviews and the focus group must be chosen very carefully, because these people must be skilled, empathetic, and usually have a social science or community engagement background. They have to have a high emotional intelligence, be able to have a fair moderation, and be able to include all voices, especially on group activities. And they should also be able to handle sensitive topics with care. So the key insight was that the quality of participation depends heavily on the quality of the facilitator. Second lesson was that one size does not fit all, meaning that for each group, that we had to engage them in a different way and facilitate their participation again in a different way. For instance, for elderly people and people with mobility issues, we had the interviews and the focus groups either at one of their homes or in a specific center, make it easier for them to participate. To attract young people, we had have engaged the local youth council, and the local universities. And in general, we try to adapt our methodology and tools in focus groups and interviews in order to make it easier for them to participate in all these activities. So the key insight is that inclusivity is not only about who you reach, but how you reach them. Representation and trust. So representation must be actively managed. It was a challenge for us to achieve demographic and balance across all our focus group and surveys. And what helped us is that we had weekly monitoring of the GOTA results of our answers, and we try to have more targeted outreach activities depending on what is missing. And what we found from this is that equitable representation requires planning, flexibility, and persistence. Trust is built, not assumed. We noticed that in some vulnerable groups, especially versus the elderly, there was some hesitance in actually participating in this kind of activities. So it was up to the facilitator to take some time at the beginning to explain the process, the goals, and privacy policies in a plain language, and more importantly, to emphasize the importance of each participant's voice in shaping a service that will affect their daily mobility in the future. So it was a good lesson learning that is spending some extra time on relationship building pays off and provides better engagement outcomes, especially in group activities. Flexibility is a critical success factor. Whenever you implement a project, there might be some disruption, there might be some obstacles that you have not identified at the beginning. For instance, for us, the first round of participatory approaches came in a period that our city was suffered from a very bad catastrophic flood. which made it very difficult for us actually to conduct all these participatory activities. However, by being flexible and by engaging our community, our mobility community, we're able to meet the demands of the projects. So successful engagement requires operational flexibility and real-time problem solving. Another lesson is that group dynamics can shape outcomes. Especially in the focus group, we noticed that the elderly people may be hesitant to disagree with the others and therefore fail to say their own opinion and have a different opinion from the rest of the people. So it's up to the facilitator to make them feel comfortable to actually be able to say what they think. On the other hand, young people are more vocal and they're more stubborn with their opinion, and it's not very easy to help them discuss in a productive way. And another thing is that there are many dominant personalities in a focus group that may overshadow the others, and it's up to the facilitator to ensure that there is balance and all voices are heard. So understanding and managing group psychology is crucial for extracting meaningful insights. And lastly, engagement is a cultural practice. We believe that citizen engagement is a long-term cultural process. It's not something that can be achieved in one day. Through our participation in EU projects and all this participatory methodology we have implemented in all of them has helped us actually to activate many stakeholders in a very effective way. And we believe that embedding participation in governance builds resilience and innovation capacity. To conclude, just some final takeaways from our experience is that you should build trust through transparency. People are more willing to accept automation when safety measures, data privacy, and reliability protocols are clear and visible. Design for inclusivity from the start. CCAM services must build with accessibility, affordability, and ease of use as a core design principle. Invest in public education and digital literacy. Awareness does not equal understanding. So you need to invest on campaigns and hands-on demos to help people understand and see a CCAM as a useful service. Ensure multi-stakeholder collaboration, develop a strong legal and ethical framework, and use engagement as a long-term governance tool. So that's for me. I do hope you had all that, and I wasn't.
Thank you very much, Christina.
Okay.
Thank you. Great. Yeah. So we're just on time. So that was. I don't see any questions yet. Please, if anybody does have a question or a comment, you can put it in the chat. I will then move on to the next presentation. Is Giacomo from Unimore, University of Reggio Emilia and Modena, and he will give an overview of the outcome, the main implications and outcomes of this process that we have. So I will hand the floor to you, Giacomo, if you can share your screen.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I will share my screen right now. Okay, from the beginning. Can you see my presentation?
Good. Yeah, excellent.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm Giacomo Cantini from the University of Modena Reggio Emilia in Italy. So I'm very pleased to present today the citizens engagement process evaluation that we developed in the SINFONICA project. I cannot. Okay, sorry. So as you can see, well, actually, as Silvia pointed out, this has been the overall participatory approach implemented during the SINFONICA project. So I will not go into the details. We already saw, thanks to Silvia's presentation and the other presentations. As you can see, well, so this evaluation, I don't know how can, yes, sorry. So I will present the evaluation framework. Inspired by the public policy field evaluation practices, The framework was has evaluated three phases, the three phases of the participatory approach, namely the design phase, then the implementation phase, and then finally the results and the impact phase. For each of these phases, we developed a set of criteria. As you can see, for example, for the design phase, we were evaluating suitability. That means that, you know, if the objective are current with the objective of the process are current with the target groups, the coherence of the methodology, the feasibility about the resources foreseen for the process, and the design quality. These were the criteria for the first phase of the design and planning. Then about the implementation phase, we identified three key variable criteria, sorry. And for each criteria, there were several variables to be evaluated. So the criteria, as you can see, are process quality, the execution, and the flexibility, as have been mentioned by Christina in this last presentation. This was quite important criteria to be measured and evaluated. And finally, regarding the results and the impacts, we developed three criteria about the efficacy, the efficiency, and the trust and empowerment of the participants and the group of interest as a whole. So as you can imagine, I will proceed explain you a bit more about the methodological approach for this evaluation exercise. We adopted a mixed method approach using, according to the three phases that Silvia already presented, the three phases of the engagement process. We adapted the evaluation to this three loop of engagement. So after each of this loop, we conducted these different methodological activities. Sometimes there were bilateral meetings, let's say interviews with a group of interest, with representatives, of the groups of interest, and then, or some other times, questionnaires, online questionnaires, and then also we performed after the second round of engagement activities, a brainstorming session, let's say, namely like a focus group with all the representatives of all the group of interest. So this was the methodological approach to get the information about all the criteria and variables that I presented before. So which were the main results of this evaluation, of the process evaluation? Well, the main challenges, as pointed out also in the previous presentation by the colleagues from Trikala and from Hamburg, one of the main challenges is the need for better return mechanisms and communication strategies. This means that from the very beginning, a participatory process has to define really clearly and communicate with the participants which are the rules of the game, and how will be how the engagement will be maintained during the months or the period that the engagement will go on. And then related to this, another big challenges has been the difficulty to maintain long-term participant engagement. Stephanie from Hamburg was stressing this problem, no, that they saw in Hamburg of people oversaturated with mobility topics or issues. So this was reflected in this evaluation, and well, this is one of the biggest lessons learned about how to design and implement a participatory process. So to clearly define the rules, and of course to rely with more resources will be really helpful in this case. Then about the achievements of this participatory approach, we identified this well, an improved or a strong sense of ownership and trust in these technologies, coming from the mere fact of participating in these participatory sessions. And so that let's say the time that we spent in all these activities, it's worthy to create sense of ownership and trust in with all the groups that were participating. Then another achievement, it's an increased awareness of CCAM technologies. As Andrew as well in the introduction pointed out, one of the biggest challenges to conduct these workshops, focus groups and interviews was to try to make people figure out how these CCAM technologies could be like, because there were no there were no demonstration running on in this in the project. And then but still, of course, this is the achievement of even if there were no concrete examples to bring to these sessions, we noticed we could identify and increase awareness about these technologies. And then last but not least, very important, an improvement stakeholder collaboration. And I will stress also what Christina was pointing out, some stakeholders, some service providers confirmed that they will use SINFONICA data to improve the services, to improve the links with rural areas, and etc. So this was one of the biggest achievements as well. Regarding insights and implication, and I'm gonna close soon this presentation. Well, participatory evaluation must address how stakeholders are engaged, as all the colleagues pointed out before, and not only what outcomes result. Trust and legitimacy are built through transparency and follow-up. So again, the importance of the design of the participatory approach, and transparent and a clear communication with the participants from the beginning, during all the process. And one other achievement or about this framework, this evaluation framework, is that it supports replicability and scalability for other ITS and CCAM contexts. Actually, this evaluation framework has been mentioned in the EU Common Evaluation Methodology developed by the FAME project, as you may know. And then that another implication of this evaluation is that as been pointed out also from other in the other presentation of today's webinar, that effective co-creation can lead to a better CCAM adoption or technology adoption in general and more user-centered innovation. So to conclude this presentation, the Symphonic Evaluation Framework offers a concrete and adaptable model for measuring the effectiveness of participatory processes. It can help public authorities, researchers, and developers align mobility policies with social expectation, especially critical in scaling up human-centric CCAM solutions. And I wanted to say as well that engagement works. We saw that engagement works, but it has been supported by the required resources. Sorry, and if engagement is done with care, empathy, and structure in this sense. And then is the other remark that I wanted to conclude with is that evaluation also works if used as a learning tool and not just a checklist. So thank you very much. This is for further information. You can have a look at the deliverable 3.2 of the project. That gather all this, presents the evaluation framework and gathers all the data collected and the analysis of this data. And then in case of any other further question or issue, you can write me or my colleague Anarita Graziani to these emails that you can see in the presentation, in the slide. Thank you very much again for your attention, and I leave it the floor, Andrew.
Thank you, Giacomo. I don't see any more questions, so thank you, Giacomo. We can continue now. The last part of this is from Kostas Fokeas. So he will talk very briefly about how to use the Sinfonica Knowledge Map Explorer. This is a tool that we have developed in the project from all the research work that has been done before, both what has been presented today, but also in the past and the next webinar and in our final event, which I'll come on to at the end. So Kostas, I will pass the floor to you. If you're there, yeah, you can share your screen. And
okay, thank you, Andrew. I guess now you can see my screen.
It's good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kostas, and today we will take a closer look at one of the key outcomes of Sinfonica project, the Knowledge Map Explorer. This interactive tool is designed to translate citizens and stakeholders' voices into actionable insights to support inclusive planning for CCAM. The Knowledge Map Explorer is a web-based platform developed to structure and present qualitative and quantitative data collected across 4 countries. It enables users to access evidence-based recommendations filtered by stakeholder.
This is fine.
Sorry? Please mute your microphones. Filtered by stakeholder category, geographic context, and user group, while it has been built on semantic and rule-based technologies. You can see it as a bridge between citizen voices and practical planning decisions for CCAM. Furthermore, the objective of the Knowledge Map Explorer was built to serve a broad range of stakeholders, including transport operators, public administration, researchers, and policymakers. Most importantly, it focuses on vulnerable and underrepresented user groups, including elderly, people with cognitive and physical disabilities, low-income individuals, cyclists, residents of rural and suburban areas, women and gender-related vulnerable groups. By identifying the unique needs of these user groups, the Knowledge Map Explorer helps stakeholders design mobility solutions that are inclusive and equitable. Behind the scenes, the Knowledge Map Explorer combines semantic technologies and a rule-based system. The ontology models the CCAM ecosystem, while the reasoning engine processes user-defined rules to produce personalized recommendations. The knowledge map interface is consisted of several sections. The home page, which introduces the tool and gives users simple steps for exploration. From here, users can choose among 3 main routes: stakeholder categories, research results, and guidelines and recommendations. Stakeholder category selection is the heart of the Knowledge Map Explorer. Users can select a stakeholder category, let's say, for example, public administration or CCAM industry, then filter by country, demographic profile, or geographic context. The tool then presents specific data-driven recommendations and considerations relevant to that stakeholder type. The research results section dives deeper into the raw findings, for example, interviews with elderly citizens, focus groups, discussions with rural residents, and stakeholder workshop where outputs are visualized and accessible. These views allow comparison and exploration of key trends. The section about guidelines and recommendation houses some tailor-made recommendations extracted from research conducted within SINFONICA. These are thematically categorized into different sections, all mapped with the relevant type of stakeholder. The Knowledge Map Explorer is live and available to the public. I encourage all of you to explore it, test it, and reach out us with feedback. Your engagement helps us improve the tool further. Now, I'm closing this presentation and switching my share screen to the tool. Give me a second. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a live demo. I have here the Knowledge Map Explorer loaded on my browser. In order to start using it, I should press the Start button. Come on. And this will bring me to the stakeholder category selection. Let's say for this example, I'm a CCAM industry stakeholder, and I select the relevant bubble, CCAM industry. And that brings me to the next page where I should fill out some filters about the country I am interested in, the type of user I'm focusing, and the site of interest. So in this scenario, I will choose Greece, elderly, and rural site of interest. After that, the software will bring me a list of considerations to take into account in order to enhance the user experience whenever I want to deploy CCAM solutions. I can see the factors that need improvements, such as transport affordability and availability in this scenario, and other factors. If I scroll down, I will see another tab, this one, which if pressed will lead me to the research results section where the collected data are visualized and summarized. So in this area, I can select data that I want to see, which came from interviews, focus groups, workshops, and a survey. Let's say in this case, I want to check the data coming from interviews. Now I will see a list of clickable tabs categorized into themes ranging from travel behavior to technology familiarities, feelings, emotions towards CCAM, to socio-demographics. For our example, let's select special needs. Again, the software asks me to provide some inputs. For this example, I'm going to select again Greece and elderly. And in this section, I can see what people reported about limitations they experience in everyday transportation and the level of limitation. So let's say moderate limited. So I will see a pie chart telling me which are the most common factors limiting elderly people in Greece in their everyday transportations. And as you can see, the cost of travel, it's one of the major travel limitations, which aligns with the previous recommendations I showed you. So if I scroll up again, whenever I'm using the tool on the left side, always the three main sections: the stakeholder category selection, the research results, and the guidelines and recommendations. And I can go back or forward to any of these sections. Now, in order to show you what is included in the guidelines and recommendations, I'm going to go back to the category selection and select the CCAM industry. I will see that the software tells me what further information I can extract from this tool as a CCAM industry stakeholder. And if I press this clickable tab, the software will guide me to a list of guidelines that come from a research that is more broader and not specific to one type of user or to a specific region or country, but it's more general guidelines and recommendations. But if I, in general, want to see other guidelines and recommendations, I can click on the relevant section. This one. These are also categorized into themes like policy, guidelines on CCAM-based public transport operations, guidelines on communications regarding CCAM-based public transport, and guidelines for CCAM demonstration projects. Each one of these subsections will lead to further information. Last but not least, on the top ribbon bar of the tool, there are some contacts to contact with relevant partners of the SINFONICA, a tab that will lead you to a list of blogs and an FAQ section that will help you to use this Knowledge Map Explorer. So that's all from my side. Thank you for listening to me. Andrew, back to you.
Thank you very much, Kostas. Thank you. That he was the last speaker. This is all of you. What you've seen today is just really a snapshot of what we have done in the project. We've done a lot more than what you've just seen today. I will just give one slide for the wrapping up of this webinar today. We have about 3 minutes left. So we're actually later this week, we will have our final event, and also in a couple of weeks on the 9th of September, we have the third webinar. So for the final event, maybe I start with that. This is on Thursday this week, and it will be at the hotel, which is called The Hotel in Brussels, close to the city centre. It's actually, this is wrong. It's not free registration, was till 31st July. It's now, I will edit that. It's now until today. So tomorrow morning, really, 26 August. Excuse me for that. So this is, if you haven't registered for this event this Thursday in Brussels, and you are in Brussels this week, you are very welcome to register. Go to sinfonica.eu and you can register there. But really, we are closing the registration this evening, tomorrow morning. So please register now if you haven't done so and you want to come. It's free, of course, to register, and we look forward to seeing many of you there. The agenda is on the website as well. You can also follow us on social media, on the LinkedIn SINFONICA project. We also have the third webinar like this. So for those who are not able to go to our final event, especially, you can connect with us on the 9th of September. It may not be 11 o'clock. We're just checking the time. It might be 1 or 1:30, but we will put this on the project website in the next few days. And this will be really focusing on demonstration projects, recommendations, public services. So these are more sort of practical recommendations, whereas today was really how to engage with people and what the experiences with engagement were. So I look forward to seeing many of you later this week on Thursday if you're in Brussels. If not, on the 9th of September, we have another webinar. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for all the presentations from my colleagues, from Sylvia, from Kostas, from Giacomo, from Stephanie, and from Christina. And we will see you again soon. Please don't hesitate to engage with us and send us any questions or comments, either by email, or you can find our contacts on the website, or using our forum on LinkedIn. I think we can now end the event. Thank you also to my colleague Celine for co-organising it and setting this up, and to all the partners that contributed to the work. I will end the
Thank you,
webinar
Andrew,
now.
for hosting
And thank you
and
all.
guiding us.
Bye, everyone.
That's it. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.